Hi chess friends and welcome back. This is Dan. Today I want to show one of my favorite Bobby Fischer games. It's one of my favorites not so much because of brilliant play or anything special or anything like that. It's actually because it's between my old friend Anthony Koppany and of course Bobby Fischer. This was at a simultaneous exhibition that Fischer gave in 1964 in Cheltenham, Pennsylvania. Fischer played 73 boards that day. He scored 70 wins, took 2 losses, and 1 draw. That's the game you're going to see today. Was the draw? It was against Anthony. At the time, Fischer was ranked 3rd in the world, as Anthony had told me in conversation. He was not yet world champion, obviously. Anthony was a Class A, went between Class A and expert at the time. A very solid player on an amateur level. So the board, you'll notice, is flipped because if anyone ever wanted to see what it was like to face Bobby Fischer, well, Anthony was the black pieces here. So without further ado, let's get into the game here. Like I say, this is one of 73 boards that Fischer played that day. So we'll start the game. And, of course, Bobby played e4, his best by test. What else, right? And Anthony comes out with g6. Fischer takes the center with d4. Anthony plays bishop g7, knight c3, d6, and looks like a Perk modern. Anthony loved. He used to play very often the Perk modern openings. He had a special enjoyment from them, I think. We played countless games together, he and I, Skittles games, and he always played the Perk. He loved it. So Fischer takes the Austrian attack. Gonna take it to this amateur, I guess. Knight c6, or knight f6, pardon me, by Anthony. Knight f3. Fischer castles by Anthony. Bishop to d3 for Fischer. And c5, seemingly, I think, in the Perk, a more modern move. This was probably not so recognized then, but I could be wrong about that. Fischer takes, d takes c. And now this move, this bishop d7, according to Anthony, he didn't ever talk about this game. He was a very humble man. I had to drag it out of him one time in conversation just to discuss this game because I wanted to hear about his experience. And he told me, and he said there was another player at the simul, very strong man, I think a national master, maybe I may be mistaken, but I think a national master who he knew, who made a funny comment when he played this move. It said something to the effect of, "You crazy kids." An older man said that to him. Giving a pawn to a future world champion. Well, anyway, on we go. Fischer snaps it off, and so now not only a pawn down, but an isolated d-pawn. So it's this is probably going to be a long uphill slog for Anthony against someone of the magnitude of Bobby Fischer. So on we go. Fischer castles, probably figuring the game's done already. Couldn't imagine what he's thinking, seeing stuff like this. Probably the same thing. Probably look at this crazy kid. Anyway, bishop comes out to c6. And, well, we have, looks like f5. Looks like he's going to rip it open and take it right to him. And we have g takes f and e takes f. Knight b comes to d7. Fischer plays king h1, and he advances. Anthony advances with d5. And we got knight back on e2 for Fischer. Anthony plays king to h8. Continuing the knight circuit here with knight to g3. Anthony plays queen to b6. Knight comes in on g5, probably looking for something along the lines of knight to follow on h5 and maybe a queen invasion, and maybe this will be a quick rout of the amateur. We'll see. Anthony plays rook a, to e8, grabbing the open file. And then here comes knight on h5, and we have bishop to b5 by Anthony. Kind of an interesting move. Although at this stage of the game, it's Stockfish, the computer program has Bobby up almost 2 pawns advantage. So we'll see how it goes. Takes off the bishop. Makes sense. Anthony recaptures with his king on g7. Fischer retreats his knight back to h3, maybe to redeploy. We'll see. And then Anthony brings the other rook over to g8. And yeah, knight comes back in on f4. King back on h8, trying to find some shelter. Now, kind of a funny thing happens here. It looks like Fischer, with his b3 move, it looks like he's going to be the one looking to control the long dark square diagonal in a perk, being controlled by white with his bishop. Kind of a little change of pace here, if you will. Anthony pulls his bishop back. Looks like he's maybe building a target down on g2. We'll see. And Fischer's got his diagonal. Makes sense. He's got quite a target at the end of that diagonal. And blocked off, though. Anthony finds a sort of a stopgap there. Plays his pawn to d4. Fischer redeploys his bishop. Got his own sort of a target on f7 there. Stockfish shows the position level right now after this move. So interesting. It looks like chances from both sides. Anthony plays rook to e4. And Fischer takes on f7. The computer doesn't like that move. It's a swing in its evaluation. Once again, Stockfish saying almost negative 2 pawns, 1.9 in favor of Koppany. So let's keep going. He plays rook to g4. Interesting. Was shown as a good move by the computer. And protecting with queen d2. And then takes with rook e on f4. Rook takes, and now the move that sort of determines how the game is going to go here. He got his rook to g2. Big discovery coming if white doesn't do something, which he does. Queen takes g2, and then bishop takes with check. King takes on g2, and we have queen c6 check. King to g1 by Fischer. Comes back. Now Anthony brings his king. Computer doesn't like this move. It looks like it goes 2 pawn advantage for white now. Probably better move would have been taking on c2, but you know, you're an amateur and you're facing the number 3 player in the world in a simul, so I think some inaccuracies are certainly excusable here. Fischer pulls back, blocking it off. b5. Continuing to press him, Fischer plays back bishop on d3, and knight to e5, bringing his piece into the game, and then Fischer doubling rooks on the f file. Anthony plays off the open file, bringing a king to the center. We've got king on f7. Bishop takes d4, followed by knight takes on d3. We got CD and queen down on the second rank now. So black's hanging in there, still showing about a pawn advantage for Fischer in the position, but black's certainly making him work. Rook back, covering on the third rank there for white, and now Anthony comes in with his own big threat that white has to meet with a knight on g4. Natural move. He plays rook over with his own threat, obviously down on h7. So h6 seems to hold it. Rook to h4 by Fischer, also protecting. Anthony moves the queen over to e2. We have bishop takes on a7, and knight comes back on e5. Rook to h3, protecting that pawn. And he repeats, looks like knight back on g4. Now Bobby advances the a-pawn. Anthony takes it. Fischer takes back. He's got an outside pawn. Will he be able to do anything with it? I don't know. Queen is on a2. Computer doesn't like this move, but it seems to make sense to just an amateur player. I mean, like myself, this seems to make sense, but the computer, for whatever reason, doesn't like it so much. Queen, or rather, I'm sorry, rook on h4, and then queen takes the a pawn. Looks precarious, but it's going to work. It looks like bishop back on e3, and we have queen on e8. Rook takes, and queen takes with check on e3. Stockfish evaluates this position right now as level. No advantage either way. Fischer plays king h1. Anthony takes the pawn. And here the gentleman agreed to a draw. Anthony had offered one earlier, which is kind of unusual, to offer a super grandmaster a draw, which Fischer, he said he kind of declined it and sort of just brushed him off. Because he said something, Anthony said, like, draw. He looked at me, he said, no, like he was crazy. And they kept playing, and finally they played the end of this game about the last 20 minutes, according to Anthony, what he told me in conversation. They played the last 20 or so minutes of the game one-on-one. It was the last game playing. Anthony also told me that it was, according to Bob, it was Bobby's favorite game of the simul. He enjoyed it the most. So thank you to both of these gentlemen. Bobby inspired me to play chess and to get as good as I could, which is not very good, but it's as well as I can. Much more importantly, Anthony inspired me to get better at life, and I thank them both for their inspiration. They're both long since passed on, and I hope they're both at peace. Thanks, and thanks for watching, everyone. Bye now.